G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I got a video out and even longer since I got a video out on the VL. So today I want to get back into the VL content and make some progress on getting the dash back together. I've got the whole Calais dash here laid out. It's been in storage for a long time. So I'm going to jump in, give that a clean and start putting it in. Alright, let's check it out. I've already started cleaning up some of these pieces, the dash top, these speaker vent covers, the sunglass holder. They've all come up really good. They've been in storage for a really long time, so they were just all really dusty. I got all of these parts out of a Series 2 VL Calais that I bought crashed years ago and wrecked everything out of it, took everything that I wanted. And yeah, I've had this whole interior in storage the whole time. Got the door trims as well, and I've used all the seats and roof lining and everything in the car. So they're all in really good condition too. Like I said, they've been in storage for so long. They weren't very old when they went in, so they've been well looked after and well preserved. But what I want to work on today is this dash. As you can see, there's not much of it. The cluster's just sitting in there. I've just had that connected, chasing some wiring dramas, but I have finished with all the wiring now. I've gone and removed everything. I found a couple of little shorts that were causing some fuses to blow. And I also put a fair bit of time into the aircon controls, making those work properly, cleaned up the contacts behind here on the slide, and most importantly, addressed all the vacuum hoses on the back of this adjuster, capped off the ones that need capping, and ran new vacuum lines to all the different actuators so the vents will operate correctly when you change the switches over. But yeah, that's how it looks now. So I'm just going to get in and clean some more interior, and then we'll start putting them in. Before I start throwing a few pieces of this dash back together, I thought I'd give you a look at the product that I'm using and sort of what sort of job it does. So what I'm using is this product here, Bowden's Vinyl Care. Video's not sponsored, I paid for this, so I'll give a good honest review of it. I think it's not actually their vinyl cleaner, but it says it restores and protects plastics and vinyl. So it's worked pretty well. All I'm doing is just sort of working in a small area, a bit of a light spray, and then just work it in with a brush just to agitate the dirt and try and get it out of those grooves in the plastic. You can see how much dirt's coming out of it there now. Pretty much just work it in like that, and then with a clean microfiber cloth, give it a quick wipe. You'll be able to see the difference and how well it comes up. So that was just a quick little 5 or 10 second wipe over. You can see the difference. If I can get out of the shadow, how much better that side looks. Like I said, it's just dust. It is in pretty good nick, so it's come out really well. And that was a clean microfiber before I started, so just that one little agitation of the dirt, that's how much comes off. Pretty good stuff. It's not slimy or glossy or like silicone spray or anything either, so I'll finish cleaning this up and give it a wipe and then start throwing it in the car. So that's the dash pad in. There's just a couple of bolts to put in, one up there in the middle. You've got a nut that will go on there to hold that on that stud. There is another bolt to go down into the top of the dash there, and then the same on this side. There are these little plastic clips, so you can see the bolt hole there. Obviously there's a little bit of maneuvering that's got to be done to get that exactly where it goes. But then you've also got these little plastic clips that go in and sit there and act sort of like a washer before you put the bolt in. I've made sure that I've got all the wiring out where it needs to be from behind the dash for the mister controls and whatnot, which are both still just hanging there. The other thing that you have to be wary of is the tricky part of this job so far was the dash vents. So these two vents up here, the hardest part of getting this dash piece in properly was just getting them to locate inside the other vent piece in the bottom. There's one there on the left, and if I can get you a shot, one there on the right. You can get to the one on the right from down the back of the cluster, or if you've got the cluster out, it's even easier, or you can stick your hand in through this vent hole as well to line up the one on the left. I've got all the wiring hanging out where I think it needs to be. I might have to change some of that or reroute it depending on once I start putting the bottom pieces of the dash in. It's been a long while since I've had this apart, so I don't remember exactly where everything goes or what order I have to put it back in, so I might have to make some adjustments along the way. I almost forgot, there's also those two screws that hold the bottom half. They screw in from the bottom go into that plastic tab in front of the speaker. And there's also one over here on the driver's side as well. So that stops the whole dash top from being floppy and lifting up. So that's all bolted down. I'll move on to the next piece. Next up, I'm going to install the right-hand side speaker cover. It's just got these two tabs at the top that go into the two plastic bungs there. So we're going to slot that in. And once they're in, there are two screws in the bottom here. So you see those two metal clips that go down and line up underneath those two holes. And they are screwed in by screws through the air vent. You'll need to take the bottom half vent out so you can access those two holes to get your screwdriver and screw through, out those holes and screwing up into there. This main air vent body, as you can see, also has two slots, one on each side, there and there, two little plastic tabs. They slide down and go inside the plastic vent tube. You can see there's a slight line through there, and there's one on the other side as well. That little plastic tab there needs to click into those, and that's what locks them together. So that's how it should look with the two screws screwed in from underneath and all fitted up. Like I said before, I don't know if that's the right order to do it in. I might need to pull that out again, but next I'm going to try and put in the big piece that goes underneath here with the power window button and the electric mirror controls on it. So there's that next piece in. As predicted, I did get them in the wrong order, so I had to go and remove the vents before I could put this bottom piece in. That bottom piece has got 4 screws. There are 2 on the top, one just here and one just here, and then there's one underneath in that bottom corner, and there's another one in the back up underneath here, which is pretty hard to get to. It's up next to the steering column. You've got to lay upside down to be able to reach that one. And also, full disclosure, I did stuff up before when I removed this vent here to get to the 2 vents in the back. I forgot to put that back in before I screwed the top down. So the top's been back off, or at least the front, so I could lift it up and get that piece back in. Next up, I'm going to install this main back part on the passenger side. On this side, it looks like we've got holes for bolts here, here, one in the back here, and down the bottom, a couple on the side. Up next to the steering column, there's a stud for this one that you screw a nut onto, and there's a screw that goes through this hole and up into the steering column. And then along the front, we've got 1, 2, 3 holes for screws. So mission completed. That main piece is now installed. There was a couple of tricky screws, as I said before, in behind this panel. Up under here, there's a screw in the back of there, as well as the stud for the nut at the front. I had to disconnect the heater control from its wiring loom and disconnect the vacuum lines to be able to install the heater control into the front of that unit. I've thrown the ashtray back in as well. There's a couple of wires down there that are power for the stereo that I've got into position. There is the light switch just here for the light that I've installed as well up under there. I've connected the electric boot release, and I've just got this one wiring plug left over that I'm not sure what it's for. I'm just going to leave that there where I can get to it later when I remember what it is. Now I'm going to throw in the glove box. To install the glove box, all we need to do is insert this tab on the end into the hole here inside the glove box compartment. Sorry, just there. Once you've done that, you then slide a little rod in the other end of the glove box down in this bottom corner into this hole here. Once the glove box in, it should look something like that. I also went ahead and put in the side vent and speaker cover, which is just exactly the same as the other side. I just need to find a vent to go in there. Next up, I'm going to put in the stereo fascia that fills in this section here. It's got 4 screws, one on the top at each end, one in that round hole and one in that round hole. They'll screw in to this little steel tab here and this little steel tab here, and then there's 2 holes on the bottom there and there. They join on to 2 little plastic sections here, one little hole there and one there. I almost forgot, there's also this little clip here that pushes into this hole here to help retain it. With that fascia panel installed, the next piece to put in is this little infill section that goes underneath. There's only 2 holes there to screw up into the underside of the dash, and there's a little hook on each side. They slot into 2 little grooves, that little groove there and that one there. Now that that infill panel is installed, I'm going to move back over and install the 2 steering column covers. There's a larger one that goes on the bottom and then one that goes on the top. These are the 2 pieces here, top and bottom. They've got a couple of little tabs in the side that you need to line up to get them together on both sides. So make sure that you've got them lined up when you put it together. And then once you've slid them over the steering column, you've got 2 screws here and here up through the middle that screw that into the top piece. And then this last hole here has another screw or bolt that goes through into a bracket on the steering column. With the steering column cover in, it's now starting to look like a dash. The last piece to put in is the section that covers the cluster up the top here. There's only 2 screws that hold that in. There's one here, and there's also one here, and a couple of air vents that slot in here and clip themselves in as you go. And that's what it looks like with the cluster cover installed. I had to make a little steel washer in here because one of my mounting points was broken. The other side was okay. Obviously make sure you pull these wires through for the satellite switches first. I'll go ahead, I'll throw in those. I'll put in the blanking covers for here and here. We'll throw the cigarette lighter in, and that'll pretty much wrap up the dash. And finally, after all that, here's the finished product. I'm pretty stoked with how it's come up. It looks like a real car again. Everything went back in pretty well. Just remember, when you're putting this back in, make sure to take it easy with the screws. I mean, after all, it is 40-year-old plastic. They don't need to be super tight. As long as you get a screw in every spot, it should hold together and be quite nice. So that leaves us with the last piece of the puzzle, being the center console. It's very basic. It's only held in by 3 screws through there into the floor. And all the manual surround and the boot and the sunglass holder just press in with a couple of clips. And that should look something like this. And that's how it looks with the center console all installed. Dash all finished, with the exception of that little air vent in the side that I have to find. All the stereo, ashtray, cigarette lighter, etc. is all in. Satellite switches, the entire dash, speaker cover, and all the front fascias. Super stoked to get that back together. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations. I know it was a bit longer than normal, probably pretty dry in spots. I just wanted to make sure I got the right level of detail so that anybody watching at home that's thinking of having a crack at doing a dash in their Commodore themselves could gain the confidence from watching this video. So if that's you, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember, I have plenty of VL content coming, so I'll see you in the next video.